All right, so hello and welcome to our first webinar of the Harvest of the Month webinar series. We are looking forward to sharing with you today just the basics of of Harvest of the Month and how you can engage in some of the resources that we have available. So my name is Brianna Good. I am the Farm to School Coordinator at the Indiana Department of Health. I lead the Indiana Grown for Schools Network, which is the Farm to School network here in Indiana. I'm excited to have Michelle here with me today, and I'll give her an opportunity to introduce herself, and then we'll get started.
Hi. I'm Michelle Schnelker. I work as a youth wellbeing coach at Parkview Health, and one of my favorite pieces of work is doing Harvest of the Month. So we'll chat more about that throughout.
Great, thank you. So we have a pretty full agenda today, but we definitely will have time for a Q&A at the end. But we'll be chatting about what is Harvest of the Month, some of the benefits behind that, how you can participate, whether you are a producer, a food service director, educator, community member, where you can find local, and some of the resources that we are able to provide to you. So to get started, I'm going to just kind of give a high-level overview of Farm to School, as Harvest of the Month falls under Farm to School. So Farm to School enriches the connections that communities have with fresh, healthy, and local food producers by changing our food purchasing and education practices at schools and our early child care education facilities. Students gain access to healthy local food as well as education opportunities such as school gardens, cooking lessons, farm field trips, and so much more. There are a lot of different options when it comes to Farm to School and what that looks like in your community. Harvest of the Month is a great opportunity to celebrate local abundance, experiment with new foods and recipes, and get positive recognition for your school and or district. The Indiana Harvest of the Month program showcases Indiana-grown foods in Indiana schools, and each month participating schools focus on promoting one locally grown item. For example, they might focus solely on radishes for that month, and they might serve it in a meal or snack, offer a taste test, or incorporate it into their educational lessons and activities. Indiana Harvest of the Month is a perfect way to launch or grow a farm to school program, as it provides an easy framework to follow and ready to use materials and resources. So why do you think that Harvest of the Month is important? Well, research shows that there are many benefits of Harvest of the Month. Harvest of the Month can often encourage kids to try new fruits and vegetables. So like we had put in the chat, there were fruits and vegetables that we didn't like before as maybe young children. And now we have learned to acquire a different taste for those products. That could have been through taste testing. It could have been through a new recipe or even an educational opportunity. And we want to provide that to our students throughout their education experience. It also increases the amount of fruits and vegetables students eat at school, reduces food waste. Typically, when a student enjoys their meal, they'll eat a little bit more of their meal. It also grows school meal participation and supports our Indiana farmers and local economies. So those are just a few reasons why we are promoting Harvest of the Month. I'm going to pass it over to Michelle, who's going to share a little bit more about how these different parts of Harvest of the Month play out in the different parts of our community.
Absolutely. So on this slide, you see the kitchen crew at South Adams Elementary or South Adams Schools, because all three of their small schools connect. So they implement Harvest of the Month into the cafeteria, into the lunch line. And I'm so impressed by the kitchen crew, because I've talked to 2 kitchen managers now, and when I drop off the item, I say, so what are you going to do with it? And they go, I don't know, but we're going to figure it out. It's like, I love it. I love that they said yes before they knew exactly how they were going to incorporate it. So the first bullet here, try it more than one way. So East Allen Alternative School, when I dropped off radishes, today's Thursday, right? When I dropped off radishes on Tuesday, I asked her how was she going to incorporate them. And she told me a snack pepper story. When we did snack peppers in September, the first day she offered them up on the lunch line as just the whole little snack peppers, and not a lot of kids took them. And then the next day she sliced them and some more kids took them. And then the next day she diced them and then incorporated them into a different dish. So it could be incorporated into salad bar, it could be incorporated into a casserole, a salsa. So I liked her flexibility. It doesn't have to just be one way. And something similar happened with pears at another school back in November. They offered them up whole the first day, and not a lot of kids took them. We learned that not a lot of kids have had exposure to whole pears, or that's what that particular partner learned. So, you know, maybe they have them in the little fruit cups, maybe they have them canned at home, but they weren't familiar with whole pears. So that was good learning. So then the next day she sliced them and they put some cinnamon on them, and the kids were more receptive to the pears, and that way it was a bit more familiar to them. So find something, find recipes, find ways to incorporate it that work for you. Maybe it's a meal, maybe it's a snack, maybe it's the whole raw version of the food, maybe it's in a recipe. You can also display posters throughout the school or the cafeteria, and then tell your students, tell the school community when these foods are being featured on the menu. Next slide, Vanna. Classroom implementation. It's been so fun to see this as well. Some schools, we always do apples in October because they are so plentiful in Indiana in October. Some just eat them raw. They do the apple crunch with us and they take a picture of everyone crunching into the apple. I've had a teacher tell me that they made applesauce during the school day in the crock pot. And that's a great way to get the kids to participate as well. You know, they can look at the crock pot throughout the day and see how those apples are changing from whole apples to sauce. There's lots of Harvest of the Month lessons that can be incorporated. Brianna is going to give us a little tour of that later. You might want to ask for some volunteers in the classroom that day. Again, lots of resources and posters that can be shared. And all of this is in hopes of the kiddos gaining exposure to new to them foods and maybe expanding their palate. Next slide. Producer engagement. So get to know your growers. I have yet to meet a farmer. I was just saying this to Kylie this morning. I've yet to meet a farmer who I don't love working with. They are very cooperation and collaboration over competition. Anytime I've asked a farmer, hey, do you know someone else who's growing the same thing? Because perhaps one farmer is able to fulfill part of the orders, but not the complete order. So then I need to source from multiple growers. And they're always happy to share, oh yeah, so-and-so grows squash too, and this person grows squash too. So that's been lovely because it's made my job easier as being the connector between the farms and the schools. So get to know your farmers, go to farmers markets, pick their brains, ask them questions. They love talking about what they do. So if there's something specific that you want to know about how this item grows, they will definitely be able to tell you. What else? Choose an item that is available in abundance. So we have definitely had growing pains. I'm going to talk more about those in a few slides. We've had some growing pains over the years and just learning what is available when and what is available in abundance from multiple growers. Choose that item because that makes your life easier. You don't have to scramble. Next slide. Taste test, more pictures, more cute kid pictures. So how it works with all the partners that we've worked with over these last 3 years is total and complete flexibility. The school partners can say, we want to participate in May and in January, but not the rest of the months. Or maybe they want to participate every month. Maybe they want the whole school to participate every month versus Croninger Elementary. I know that they rotate grade levels each month. And I believe Weiser Park did a similar schedule last year when they participated as well. So it's completely up to the school and early childhood partners how they want to incorporate the food. I know that some of the early childhood centers, they use the food more as like a tactile or a sensory, an item at their sensory table to just familiarize them with, how does this food feel? What does it smell like? What does it look like? What colors? If you guys have ever done like potato stamping, they've done that before. They've used spinach leaves as a paintbrush as well. So again, just lots of flexibility. We are not the dictator saying you have to use it in this way. They get to decide. And then, as I mentioned earlier, involve students. Can they slice something up? Can they serve it up? Can they clean it up? As Katie, the dietitian on our team, always says, cleaning up is a life skill. It's part of cooking. And again, I encourage folks to recruit volunteers if you're doing this in the classroom, and you can always send home copies of recipes. You might make that recipe at school. I know some of our partners have done that, and then they order enough so that each student can take the whole item home with them and the recipe. Like, hey, we made this at school today, and here we have the sweet potato. We can make the same thing at home now. Next slide, Brianna. Then versus now. So growing pains, things that we've learned over these 3 years. So these taste tests were created as a stepping stone towards local procurement for schools. We would love to see more local food in the schools, but what's one way that we can start that? In one way is taste tests. So years ago when we started this, we were doing a lot of slicing, dicing, cleaning, bagging things up, labeling things, and then getting it out to schools. And we learned after doing that with carrots and after Kylie's family doing that with cabbages, that is not a sustainable way for us to continue to participate and be that liaison, that connection between the farms and the schools. So we switched it up, and the schools receive whole produce. So whether it's whole cabbages, whole radishes, whole sweet potatoes, we're not doing any of that food prep on our end. So then that lends itself also to more flexibility once the school partner does receive it. However you all want to incorporate it, that's up to you, because you're getting it in that whole form. And like I mentioned earlier, that in and of itself might be a very valuable exposure to the food for the kiddo if they've never seen a little red snack pepper before in its whole form. So now we're doing things whole. We're not weighing anything, we're not slicing anything, we're not cleaning anything. I communicate to the partners, please know all of this produce is farm fresh. Read, there might be some debris. You might need to wash this first before serving it. So they know that in advance. So then they're able to make decisions about, do they want to opt in or opt out for this month, and how then do they want to incorporate it in their school setting. Next slide. Sourcing local, this kind of goes back to what I mentioned earlier. Get to know your local growers, visit farm markets, engage in conversation with them, ask them what they grow, when they grow it, when things are available. Do they specialize in something, or do they grow a whole variety of items? Or do they usually only have items available throughout spring and summer, or do they have items available year round? Yes, we can have items available in the winter. Thank you, farmers, and your high tunnels and cold storage. So yes, just like, to me, that's where it starts. Like, you have to know the farmers. You have to get to know who's growing it and what's available. My favorite way to do that is farm markets. And I think we are switching it over to Brianna next to talk about resources. This is where I get to take notes. Yay.
Great. Thank you for sharing. I know that we'll have some time for Q&A at the end, and I know there's probably some questions that people are coming up with as you were talking. I know I had a couple already, and I just appreciate the work that you've done in the Northeast region to make Harvest of the Month happen for the schools in those communities. So thank you for sharing, Michelle. So I am excited to share that the Indiana Harvest of the Month programmer, Indiana Grown for Schools Network, offers a variety of digital materials to support Harvest of the Month at your school and after school programs, and also ECE facilities. And these resources have been created with a variety of partners. So I can't take all the credit, very little of the credit. Parkview Health has been very, very supportive in this, in the Northeast Indiana Farm to School Network. We have partners from Purdue Extension, the Department of Education, and IU Health or IU University, just so many different partners that have played a role in this, and we're very thankful for that. So I'm going to go through each of the resources that we have, and then we're going to go on a tour of how to find those resources on our website, because it can be a little bit of a challenge if it's your first time looking at that database. So a couple of the resources that we have are our posters. And I know that Michelle had mentioned a couple of different times in her presentation to share posters or share some type of material, promotional material, to continue to engage the students, whether that is in the classroom or in the cafeteria, whether they're walking down the hallway. Making it a really full circle support on Harvest of the Month is important. So we have a little bit smaller posters that have just a quick little fact sheet. Those facts we have tried to narrow down to Indiana, very Indiana specific, but there you may see some in there where they might be native to another part of the country, where we've added that in there as well. And then we have the big 20-inch by 30-inch posters that can be downloaded and printed, that have a little bit more information on them. These are really great for bulletin boards, like I said, or putting up in your school cafeteria to provide a little bit of additional education beyond the classroom. One of my favorites is the menu graphics. These can be printed. I printed them and laminated them for myself. I don't have a school cafeteria, but I just think they're really cute. And it says, "We love local, ask about today's Indiana ingredient." So these could be even turned into window clings that could be posted in the windows. So that way the students are being able to make that connection that this product is from an Indiana producer, or and then be able to say, oh, wait, maybe we learned about this in our class and we had a taste test opportunity, and really make it come full circle once again. So I love these menu graphics that can be downloaded and used in the school cafeteria. We also, this one is a little bit near and dear to my heart, and with my education background, but we have lessons and activities that I have aligned with Indiana academic standards. And you can see the standards when you click on the lesson later on during our tour. I'll show you where you can find the different standards that have been attached, but we tried to focus on different curricular areas such as math, science, social studies, English language arts, and you can kind of see that on the carrot lesson a little bit, where those education standards are listed. And some of these are our newest lessons and activity sheets. We do have some from other states, places across the nation, and we have also tied them to Indiana academic standards as well. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. We have some writing booklets, we have worksheets, and then lessons, and we're hoping to add some book recommendations as well to incorporate the literature component. Here's one of my favorites, is the agriculture and nutrition education videos. Thanks to the Northeast region for sharing those with us. And also Purdue Extension has some as well. These are so great because they highlight Indiana farms, and students are able to receive education both on the agriculture producer side and the nutrition side as well. So we don't have these for every single product, but I know that Northeast Indiana is actively working on finishing those, and so we'll have some more to add to our database. Thank you, Janet. We appreciate you. And these are just going to be another wraparound resource for our classroom teachers to be able to use when they are implementing these lessons and activities. We also have newsletters for a variety of different products. These newsletters can be sent home for school with school communication to families, so the students are then learning about it in the classroom, and then also able to share with their parents some of the things that they've learned, and get a little bit more buy-in from our community and families and make them feel like they're also a part of what's happening in the classroom. We also have social media posts, images, and they even have little content like the I don't know what the word is necessarily, like a caption, maybe a suggested caption. So you don't even have to think about it. You could just post it on your social media and share with your school community the product that your school is highlighting that month. Maybe even add some pictures of the students with the taste test. And you can take these and they don't have to be edited. And it is just a great way to be able to continue with school communication beyond maybe a paper version that's going home in a folder, but also on our social media accounts. So just another great option to provide school communication and all the great things that are happening within your organization. We have editable flyers. These are easy to use and you can edit the text and swap out the photos as needed. These are another one of my favorites because you can put in what the local ingredient is. You could change out the photo and put the photo of the farm or the product. And then you can also put the farm and location where it came from and when you tried it, whether you had tried it this week, last month, we're trying it next month. And then there's also some facts where you can add in facts or you can use facts from our fact posters. And there's a spot too where you can add in a recipe or other local items that you'd like to. So it's very easy to use, and each download includes those different tips for editing, which is really nice. And something less work that you'll have to do when you're trying to create information that you want to send home to families. We also have a press release template, and there's two different options, one for announcing new information and one for announcing results of an existing program. This can be helpful when you're trying to gain buy-in from your school board, your community, your parents, and these are just nice to have when you're looking at trying to expand or sustain a farm to school program. Okay, we also, as Michelle mentioned, during Harvest of the Month, taste tests are very popular. So we have created taste test resources, one being a taste test booklet where the student can write their name, and then you just kind of cut the booklet in half and you have different papers where it says like, I tried this new product, and you can edit out what product it was that they tried. And you can put a sticker. So the smiley faces in the middle can be printed on sticker paper. They could be cut out and glued, however you want, where the student gets to rate how they felt about that specific product. And then there's a Harvest of the Month taste test chart where you could keep that in your room. These, where it says watermelon, apples, and pumpkins, it kind of goes down on what to harvest, could be changed out to whatever it is that you might be tasting in your classroom. These can also be used in the cafeteria setting, depending on the size of your cafeteria. I'm sure with the flexibility of time, I'm not sure how much time there is in the cafeteria beyond just snarfing down your food quickly. It would be important to be able to wrap this around in a classroom setting as well, and kind of add this on to, we've had the education lesson and activity, we've tried this food, and now we're able to document how we felt about that food. And then if there's another time to be able to taste it in the cafeteria, maybe their red frowny face went to a green smiley face. Like we've changed our mindset about what this food tastes like based on maybe how we ate it. Did we eat it as something that's raw, or did we eat it in a recipe? So there's a lot of different ways that you could use these taste test resources as well. Okay, so I'm going to take us on a quick little tour. I've never been a tour guide before, so bear with me. All right, so when we click on this resource, and I will send out the slides after so that you'll be able to just click on it, it takes us to our Harvest of the Month resources, and this is our database where we can find all the resources that I just shared, and it can be a bit overwhelming. It can be hard to find different products. So I wanted to just show you, if you were looking for a specific product, you can go here to the Harvest ingredient, and it's going to show all of our available products. As I scroll through, maybe. Whoops, it's kind of labeled there. So if I click carrots, it will take me to all of the carrot resources that that are available. If I am carrots and I am a food service director, I can go over here and I had selected carrots. Now I want it for food service. It's going to show me a food service recipe that could be used, and it's going to show me that food service sign that I can put into the window when I'm highlighting my carrots. I might want to celebrate Apple Crunch this year. So I'm going to go back up to apples, and I'm an educator. So I'm going to go to the drop down. There's education. There's also a breakdown between my K2, ECE, and I believe there's 3.6 and 7.12. So I'm just going to go for educators because that just wraps it all into one. And I'm able to see my Apple lessons, my coloring sheets, the different activities, as well as those blank flyers pretty much end up in all of our harvest ingredients, only because they can be used for all of those. They're all editable. So here's a couple of different things, as well as the taste test booklets will show up. So I'm going to click on one of these lessons. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. That looks like a good lesson for my class. So I'm going to look through here. And this is a national Ag in the Classroom resource, which is a great resource, but oh no, it's not attached to Indiana academic standards, right? So we have to just scroll down to see which standards it's attached to. And it looks like it's attached to my 3, 4, and 5 grade levels. I can download the printer version, printer-friendly version as a PDF, and be able to use that resource. I'm gonna go back to my database. Okay, we also have, so you can look through here, the general here is just one that doesn't really highlight a specific product, but just gives us some of those overall, like it could be used with any product. There's some on decomposition, measuring in the garden. I don't want to make us all motion sickness here, but we do have quite a bit. And then we also have some for families. And these are really great, where they have these little classroom bites that have come from different organizations that have shared with us, as well as, like I said, the newsletters, even some family recipes. And so if families also wanted to say, celebrate Apple Crunch at home, they could, they could also click, this is a very small little scroll bar here. Sorry, there we go. Then we have apples for families, and there's even home recipe videos that can be used, an information sheet in the newsletter. So quite a few different resources that are available to be used in relation to our Harvest of the Month database. So I can go back here and expand. Sorry, it wasn't a very smooth process. Whoops, I'm in the wrong. There we go. Thank you for your patience on that. All right, so those are all the resources that we have available, and we're continuing to add to that list into the database, but just a lot of great things to be able to provide to so many different stakeholders that are participating in Farm to School, whether you're a community member, a parent, food service director, educator, sometimes even our Purdue Extension educators will use those resources in the classroom, and they've helped us create some of them as well. And then also to provide some school communication and promotion. So I thank you for joining our first Harvest of the Month 101 webinar. We do have some upcoming webinars on March 14th. We will be listening to a few different food service directors across the state who have been implementing Harvest of the Month as food service directors. So they will share a couple of their success stories, and then also share as panelists, where we'll ask them some questions to be able to share some of their experiences. And then we will also have one for classroom implementation, which will focus more on our education portion of Harvest of the Month, the nutrition and agriculture education. And then we will have one focused on community engagement. Those are to be determined as we're working with educators and community members. We're just trying to find a date that works for everybody. So I'm sure that all of you who have joined understand that as well. All right, so we wanted to make sure that we had time for questions. So feel free if you want to put questions in the chat or unmute, you're welcome to do that. We have Michelle and I know a variety of folks in the room who have supported Harvest of the Month. So if one of us can't answer it, I know someone else can. That's a great question, Shanna. So she had asked if there are curricular resources for high school as well. That's something that we definitely plan to build out. We don't have as many for the high school, but we hope to continue to build that. We kind of had just focused on our K-5 for now as we continue to add in activities and lessons. There are quite a few that I would encourage you to look through. Indiana Farm Bureau has Ag in the Classroom, which has quite a variety of resources with different products, and they do go through the 9 through 12 grade levels. And they've been a huge resource for us. They have a curriculum matrix that you can look into, and I'm happy to send that to you as well. But yeah, that's definitely something that we plan to build out. Thank you for asking.
Good question. Our Harvest of the Month activity is paid for by, I don't know what all these things stand for, but do you, Brianna?
We have our
Or anyone
National
else?
School Lunch Program
Thank
and
you.
our
I should have known that.
CACFP grants and all of the above.
So for me, for these last 2 years of my 3 years of my experiences with Harvest of the Month, it has always been grant funded for us. That does not mean that it couldn't be funded by those other sources as well. It is free for all the schools to participate that we have partnered with. I hope that helps too. So the grant funding pays for the actual produce, any materials that are needed, which there's really not much more materials other than just the produce itself. We use sticker labels to label the bags to make delivery easy, and then the mileage.
Michelle, have the schools that you've worked with used school garden produce for Harvest of the Month that you know of?
Not that I know of, but I've never
Okay.
asked them. So
Okay.
maybe.
Mm-hmm.
One of my
Yeah.
favorite things is visiting schools and seeing that their tower gardens are lush. So, yeah, I always like snap a picture just because it makes me happy. But I want to get to the point where I'm asking an adult in the room or an adult in the building, hey, what do you guys do with this? How many schools have participated in Harvest of the Month so far? Karen, you are making me dig into my stats. It varies year to year. I'm gonna actually check that and come back. But keep the question. During this year, we have had 26 schools participating. And that just varies from year to year for a variety of reasons.
Michelle, so those schools, the 26 schools, those are across multiple school districts though, right?
They are. Thank you for prompting this, Janet, because I thought of that right as I turned my mic off. So yeah, they are throughout. They go as far north as LaGrange County, as far south as Adams County, so the Decatur-Byrne area, as far west as Manchester, throughout Fort Wayne, and everywhere in between. So yeah, DeKalb County, Steuben County, Wells County, Wabash County. I'm trying to remember all of them that I sent you that one time, Janet. So yes, they are. It is varied for sure.
Yeah, and I've been so impressed because I mean there are some months, oftentimes it's between 2,000 and 3,000 students participating in taste tests, but I think we've had sometimes when it's over 5,000 in the past year, so it really varies. This past month was 700, so it was a little lower here in February, but it really varies. It's very much it's just so exciting though. And that all these thousands of kids get to participate each month.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey, Michelle, I might have missed this, but did you talk about how the high schoolers specifically partake in Harvest of the Month? Or could you give some examples of what we've seen with our high school students?
Sure. So I know for certain that there is an art teacher in Westview, Jesse Martin. Shout out, Jesse. And they do still drawings, so it might be pencil sketches, it might be paintings, but he incorporates the Harvest of the Month item as kind of like the subject to be drawn or to be captured in some way. And then they cook it, then they enjoy the item. So that's just one testimony, but it depends. It's up to each partner how they want to incorporate it. And who asked that? I don't know who that was.
It was Kylie.
Oh, I thought I recognized your voice, but it didn't pop up on my screen. Thanks for asking. What else? What else can we answer?
I do have a question, and maybe this is for Janet or Michelle or Kylie. How did you start those initial conversations with the producers? Like, how did you find out that those producers were interested in participating, or did you put the ask out there for products, or what did that look like to build those relationships and make that connection?
I throw it back to Michelle. Michelle's a regular at all our farmers markets. So most of these folks, they're just her friends and and people she's bought produce from for her own kitchen. So
yes, for years. I love farmers market. That's all there is to it. Like when we travel, I'm like, ooh, let's see if they have a farm market here. If we like to do that at home, we're gonna like to do that in some other city. So yeah, I have long-standing relationships with a variety of farmers. So that was kind of an easy transition to speak to someone who I already have relationship and rapport and trust with and say, hey, so we're starting this new thing at work and I've never done this before and this particular farmer has never done this before, but can we figure this out together? Can we muddle through together? And it's worked out beautifully. So that's how it started with me connecting to the farmers anyway. I would have to ask Kylie how the connections between the schools started, because that started before I was part of this team at work. But yeah, I just go up to farmers and ask, hey, I need 787 radishes. Do you have any?
Yeah. I mean, I think sometimes when we've been looking at a new product, it helps to know that producers. So if somebody's starting from scratch and they don't attend their farmers markets regularly, a good place to start would be with their Purdue Extension agent and say, hey, I'm looking for carrots in my community. Do you know who grows carrots? And so that would be a good place. Or if they have a local food council in your particular area, folks there would know who was growing. Or if you have some kind of like a cooperative grocery store, they might know who's growing local produce. So but the best way to go is to find your local farmers market and go in and talk to them.
And if you're on the call and you are not sure who those people might be, then you can reach out and we're happy to help facilitate those conversations and help build those relationships. We also have a farm to school value chain professional now who is helping to really build the relationships between our producers and our food service directors. So if you're a food service director looking to procure local, and it might be just a small amount to be able to provide like a harvest of the month type activity or taste test, she is a great person to be able to use as a resource in finding and building those relationships. So there's so many great resources that and organizations across the state to be able to support you in that and using your school garden produce if you have that. I know, Shanna, with the urban farm, that might be something that you would be able to with Purdue Polytechnic, be able to provide some of those products to use in the cafeteria. And even if it's not enough for the whole district, to be able to use it as a harvest of the month might be a really great opportunity.
Yeah, I'm so grateful that you guys have hired Anna Holloway, right? Yeah, yeah. I mean, she's wonderful and brings a real depth of experience to that, and her value chain work, which is the kind of connections between the farmers and the buyers, will be so helpful. And she also is part of our whole statewide Indiana value chain network. So if you put the word out there, talk to Brianna and we'll get it on the grapevine and we'll find you, whether you're looking for grapes or radishes or lettuce or whatever you're looking for. There's a whole network of people who can help you find it.
Absolutely. Feel free to ask any other questions that you might have, big or small. We do have some Harvest of the Month experts in the room, so take advantage. Like I said, the slides will be emailed out, and I know that they had a couple of ideas for each, and then we'll go into more specifics with the future webinars around Harvest of the Month. And yeah, so feel free. We have a few more minutes to ask questions. Thank you again for your time today and for being here. Okay, well, if there's no other questions, that's okay. I will go ahead and, if I can, share. It's not letting me click over. Maybe that's the end of it. I think we had our contact information on there, and I'm not sure what happened to that slide. But I can, I'm like, oh, it was on there. I will send our contact information out in a follow-up, and I will also put, I can put mine in the chat. Maybe, Michelle, if you want to put yours in there too, that would be helpful. But it will be in the follow-up slide. I'm just not 100% sure what happened to it. So I put my email in the chat. Feel free to reach out. And like Janet said, we can get you connected. The Northeast region has been so helpful. I know they're in one region, but they're here with us today, and they've been here to support us along the way. And they will be able to answer questions that you might have or connect you to someone that's maybe in your region that can support you. So thank you all for joining, and we will see you next time.
Thanks all.